welcome to episode 36 of Rebels Without a Pod, the show that dares ask the question, what are the odds they'll make it to a recap episode?
Pretty good.
Tonight is our year-end recap and burnt-end show. My name's John, and joining me tonight, Andy, who does our artwork and graphic design.
Good evening.
Naveen on music and audio production.
Hello there.
And ladies and gentlemen, returning to the show. We first simply called him Papa. Then it was Ice Pack, followed by Pod Daddy. He's been referred to as Boston Baked Beans, K-Cup Conquest, Baby Goose Down Jacket, the Creature from the Blake Lagoon, Duddy Ford in beautiful downtown Worcester, and Tender Greens. He's also been referred to in other ways. Salacious Yum, Silverhawk Tua, the Sixth Botanicula, the Third White Stripe, Another Brick in the Wahlburger, Tan Mensa, Sugit, Built the Thrill, and for some reason, Sugarcane Frank. But I could go on. Candyman Japan, My Fellow Silly Goose, EB Games, the original Busy Bee, Canadian Champion, Solar Plexus T-Rexus, Winnie Cooper, You Better Than This, and the Kind Warrior. But the thing I like to call him most is friend. Please welcome to the show, Derek. Wait.
That's not right.
Eric.
Hey guys.
Eric.
Hey. How's it going?
We forgot what you look
Me,
like.
Derek. Yeah, right. Do you know I have glasses? I didn't.
I would never have recognized you. Even on the street, I wouldn't have known you.
Right.
Hey John, you left out one name. Step.
What's that?
Step Papa.
Step up.
It's been a while. Sorry, guys. Long journey. So.
Yeah, right. Step up to the streets, Papa. Trap music. I don't know.
Play that toaster, Holmes.
So, anyway, today on the show, we'll be recapping our first year of the podcast, talking favorite movies, moments from the show. We'll also be doing a new segment called Burnt Ends, chance to revisit old discussions with takes or bits that either didn't make the original episode or things we kind of came back with after the fact. Prior to kind of getting into that, though, Eric has been kind of like off the show the last couple weeks in he's been like a little under the weather, and in a way that certainly has been reflected honestly in like the previous episode intros that we've done. But sadly, he missed our best of 2024 conversation the other day, where we kind of talked sort of like our favorite sort of non-podcasts, generally movies, but also like a little bit kind of just TV, music, sort of other culture stuff that we kind of dug in 2024. So we want to spend like a little time up top. Eric, do you want to kind of give sort of like to tag on to that? Do you want to sort of give you shout outs for kind of best worst films of the year that you saw?
I do. I'm really excited for this. Sorry I missed it, and love to hear your guys' choices afterwards. I think there's going to be some overlap. There has to be. There really does. There was some good horror, though, so I don't think it's going to get as much love from Andy or Naveen, but I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff out there, and hopefully some stuff sticks. So first thing I picked, I'll go with best movie. This was a no-brainer for me, and I really didn't expect it to be the best movie for me. I thought it was going to be Terrifier 3, and it wasn't. It was Deadpool and Wolverine. It was
really
from front to back. It hit all the sweet spots for me. They had Henry Cavill, Dogpool, the reject non-MCU canon characters came back. The whole thing with Chris Evans, and he shows up, and you're like, oh my god. It's Captain America. This is so great. They included him here. And then he's fucking Human Torch. Just steal it from you. And then he has that speech he gets called out on where he's just like bad mouthing the bald chick. And they like, he never made that speech. At the very end, they just go and they show Chris Evans deliver that without skipping a beat, which was fucking priceless. I think the best part of all was the Channing Tatum Gambit. That was like an early Christmas miracle, and just so freaking funny. So I don't care about all the haters, all the groups I'm on online, Facebook and whatnot. where people are like, hey, you know what? Whatever they do this movie, it's not it's not funny because they just kind of shit all over the source material. Fuck yourselves. It was worth it. It was totally worth it, especially for all the fans that were into Marvel movies, you know, like 20 years ago. And in all those superhero movies that amounted to nothing. So it was for the true believers.
Just what one of the single kind of hardest sort of things I laughed when we kind of covered this originally when we discussed this on the show, but just Wesley Snipes coming out as Blade, like sort of midway through, like the fact it didn't get leaked ahead of time, the fact people had just no idea. Yeah, you know, just
I genuinely like those movies.
Dumb boys, but.
So that was a good one because it's like he's never going to come back as Blade. You just knew it wasn't going to happen, and then it's like, there he is. Throw him in there.
Right. And then also like the meta commentary on top of the fact that, you know, he literally just kind of looks right in the camera at one point, you know, like the Mahershala Ali, like, you know, Blade movie that's been kind of stuck in development hell for like nearly like a decade at this point, and just for whatever reason, Marvel not being able to kind of make that movie, and then Wesley Snipes coming back as Blade before they actually kind of get like a remake like out in theater at all. It's just
Blade.
It's just a real like year high point for me. How about biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise. I know what you want, and you're not going to get it. You will not get it. I'm going to go with Terrifier 3. I'm playing it safe.
Terrifier 3.
I need to show Terrifier 3 some love. I cannot do The Substance. That was not that was a surprise, and it wasn't really a good surprise. It wasn't a bad surprise. I was just kind of like, ugh. I'm sorry. I've been exposed to trauma films. I've seen this before. So I call it Terrifier 3, and the reason I do is because I love seasonal horror movies, and especially Christmas horror movies. Something about it. It's just like people are settling down. It's the end of the year. You're with family. It's a very joyous period. And then somebody comes and just fucking shits all over it by murdering a bunch of people. And
it speaks to something fundamental about your character.
Yeah, some people, you know, they have a tough time with like earlier on in the year. It's a brand new year. It's going to suck. For me, it's the end of the year. Just blow it all up. So this was good. The reason it's a surprise for me though is I thought they were just gonna reskin Terrifier 2 and do nothing really new, just kind of do the same thing over and over again. But they really tried to outdo themselves this time, and I think they accomplished it. There was just way too much gore and violence, but also they continued the storyline of all the characters and kept building off of that. And then the characters that were kind of throwaway characters, like the brother in the second one, I hated him so much. And they friggin' murder him by the end of the movie. I was like, this guy.
Okay. One question: having kind of not seen these movies, but seeing clips on YouTube, kind of knowing them by reputation. Yeah, there is one kill in the second Terrifier movie that is up there for maybe the gnarliest thing I've ever seen on screen. It's the kill in the bedroom. I think Allison is like the character's name.
Oh, you know that about? One. Yeah. That was
anything in like the third Terrifier movie that it equals or eclipses that scene.
Yeah. There's plenty. Luckily they
there's more than one.
Yeah, luckily they avoid doing it towards kids because there is some multiple kids being murdered in this film, but they don't show those details. They do have the probably now like the famous chainsaw scene that people have been talking about, where two people are fucking in the shower, and then the girl gets killed almost immediately, and the guy just gets tortured with like a chainsaw up his asshole. And then they go from the ass to the front, and he takes some major battle damage. Here's the amazing thing about what's the director's name? Damien Leone. He that sounds in right. All three films, he doesn't show any female nudity, and there's plenty of opportunities for it. And usually horror movies are known for that. He doesn't do it at all, but you do see dick.
Right.
I don't
just-
know.
it's-
I
It's
guess,
a horror movie if you don't get a little bit
The-
of bitch in it.
yeah, there was no nipple, nothing.
Andy, my friend, may I recommend to you The Substance, which is almost exclusively female nudity.
What a surprise!
But I hear that the rest of it is just.
Mhm.
I hear that the rest of it is just entirely off-putting and disgusting. So.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Terrifier 3. I think the one thing that, like, the guy getting chopped up with a chainsaw, and it goes on for like 5 minutes. I was totally fine with that. The one scene that just hurt me was the Art the Clown's girlfriend. She picks up a shard of glass
Mhm.
and sticks it in her and starts getting off on it, like rubbing
Mhm.
it and just bleeding all over. And that kind of like, I was like, that's not cool.
Mhm.
Wait, this is the clown's girlfriend?
Yeah, she's from the previous film. She's from the original, actually. Original?
Victoria. Victoria's
Yeah,
like
she gets messed up. I think it was like at the very end, and then
Mhm.
yeah, she just kind of, she's a believer by the end of the second movie. She
Right,
ends up
right.
giving birth to Art the Clown's head. Can't explain that.
Just the head.
Just the head. Just
Yeah.
the head.
Is it alive?
Just the
Yes, it was alive.
At least it
That's
wasn't a
basically
second.
how Art gets reincarnated for the third movie, if I remember this correctly.
Yeah. I like how you're like, was it alive? Dude, she just fucking gave birth to a human head. That would be the point
I
where
mean-
most people would stop and be like, Jesus Christ.
No, I gotta know
gross.
the details.
Okay.
'Cause I'm not
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
watch
yeah.
it. So somebody
Was the
has to give
spine
it to me.
attached? Was it like, did she like pet the head and the spine was just kind of like jiggling as he purred?
Was
Yeah,
there a neck?
that might have happened.
Was there a neck or
He told
Just
some
like-
jokes.
just like chin?
I
up?
guess it's true stand up if like the spine is fully erect and he's telling jokes. It's a
Yes,
poor joke. Don't
that's
listen
correct.
to me. Yeah. Okay. Good.
So all this is to say, look for Eric and Art the Clown's podcast spinoff coming in like 2026. What are we going to call it?
Call
Hi,
the
Art.
bloody shard. Hi, Art.
The whole podcast. It's going to have to be like a video one because it's just going to be Eric describing the Terrifier movies and like Art just laughing silently to himself. Just
He's so funny.
how about
He's just so funny,
Eric? Let's go to your worst film of 2024.
Oh, my worst film. You know this one, John. John, say it before I say it.
The substance.
What is it?
Can't possibly be The Substance. Cannot possibly.
No, it's not the substance.
Thank
It's
Christ.
not the substance.
Right.
You know which one this is.
What? Okay. What? Which one is this?
The Great
I say it
Mistake.
because- yeah.
Okay. The movie I explicitly told you can't recommend this. It was interesting. Can't recommend it. Then you got like 12 texts from you. Oh, I'm at the theater right now. Got my popcorn. Got
Watching
my
it.
beer. Kind of
Got
ready
it.
to go. Hour and a half later, the first text message that I get from him again for a movie. I told him I can't recommend. First text back from Eric. Why did you do this to me?
It was so slow and painful. And
Uh-huh. And what film? And what film is this? Let's.
I
Call out
saw the
name.
TV Glow. It's an A24 film. You think
I
that
saw
is
the Eric get mad.
here's the
That's
thing,
name
right?
of it? I saw the TV glow.
I saw the TV Glow.
Okay.
I don't
Now-
even think I've ever heard of that.
When John mentions it to me, right? He mentions something along the lines of kids watching this like Snick at Night type like TV show. And these two kids connect over, these high schoolers connect over it, and then just some weird surreal shit happens with the show in their lives, and you find out that maybe, you know, they're what was it? Like they were characters in the show, but they were killed or pulled into another universe, something along those lines. It's kind of fuzzy, but you get that hint from it, like weird Snick show,
Mhm.
kids mystery. I was like, that sounds like it might be fun. Some sci-fi kind of thing where it pulls on like I don't know.
It's
Like,
sort of
Are You
late
Afraid of the
90s
Dark?
nostalgia,
Or
Are You Afraid of the Dark? So like the late night things, like other
yeah,
kind
those
of stuff like
shows.
like Swan's Crossing or just
Clarissa
like
Explains It
Bob
All.
Right.
Pete and Pete. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounded intriguing, and so I was like, okay, mystery, Snick show. This is going to be good. Somebody who grew up like around our age, maybe, that just used to love watching Snick at night. I don't know. And then I go to the theater. It's me, this couple behind me, 3 high school kids on the left-hand side. Everybody's ready to go for the film. And by golly, it was such a slow fucking movie. The mystery was abstract. The payoff was very underwhelming. And then I come to learn after I see it, they're like, oh, well, the director was trying to convey a message about, I forget.
The entire thematic thing, which I didn't know about going into the movie, I didn't figure out while watching the movie. I just learned about listening to a podcast after, was the whole thing was kind of supposed to be like sort of like a sublimated metaphor for growing up as a closeted trans teen in pre-internet 90s suburbia, and just sort of the difficulty and the psychological scars that sort of come along with sort of just kind of going through something like that. You just have that you have both just kind of no understanding of and kind of no way to sort of figure out by the information that you have available to you, like out in the world, basically just kind of being confused and miserable and just having kind of no grasp on it, because it's 1993 and people don't even have like dial-up modems at that point.
It was weird because when I got to the theater, I thought they were going to ask for my ticket, and instead they gave me a piece of paper and they're like, "Can you write down your pronouns, please?" And I was like, okay, sure. And I wrote it down. And they're like, "Oh, don't tell us what it is." And then I folded it up and then I put it in this like little fishbowl for like a raffle, what I thought. And then at the end, after the movie finishes, they stand up on the stage and they take a microphone. They're like, "All right, so you guys got what that movie's about, right? So we're going to come to your pronouns out and you got to raise your hand because you're confused and we're outing you." And then they were like, "Papa?"
Right.
I don't know if it's.
But then they also handed out like 3 bottles of Fruitopia. So yeah.
And I was like, "All right, I'm the Papa guy. I'm the Papa." And then the 3 teenagers came over to me and they're like, "Step Papa?" And I was like, "That's right, boys. Let's go."
I should say this movie is 84% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So
dude, it is a fresh pile of shit. If they told me what it was about before I even went in there, I would have stayed home. I would have kept my money. I would have watched something on Netflix and had a grand old time alone. Instead, I got to enjoy with complete strangers. Piece of shit.
No, even like shout out for like the oddly sort of poignant Fred Durst performance.
Was it Fred Durst? I remember there was the chick that did the Napoleon Dynamite dead on. It was like one of the main characters. She's the whole movie. She's just like, the guy's like, "Oh, is it cool? Like your stepdad's coming home soon, right? From work. It's late. Like, what if he catches us?" And she's like, "Gosh, nobody understands us. Like, they just don't get it. Tina, Tina, come get your food, Tina.
Eat your ham."
Yeah, come eat your food.
Was that the main blonde character? Because that's Phoebe Bridgers, the
Phoebe Bridgers. What a name.
Musician.
Is it?
No, Phoebe Bridgers has kind of a short cameo in the middle of the film.
She does. She's actually in a band, like
singing an entire song in the middle of just some kind of just Oregon kind of sort of just sort of random kind of just roadside bar.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's Justice Smith, and I don't remember who like the other actress is.
Yeah, the other actor, is it Justice Smith, the black dude? He was in like Dungeons and Dragons, and like the main character, I forget the guy's name. Yeah. He was really good, and I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he was in Dungeons and Dragons and was actually quite good in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good, and that's kind of what drew me into him. Like, oh, I liked him in Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, this is some indie A24 flick he's going to do. Sure, I'll check it out. It sounds interesting. But also, the director, her first film is on Shudder, and I remember it looked like it got like decent reviews from people, and I tried to watch it, and it was another one of those.
Going to the World Fair is
it was so bad. I turned it off after like 10 minutes because it was slow. It didn't make sense. I think it was supposed to be interpretive. It's about some girl who had like, she was on YouTube, like live streaming, and then just doing like face painting or something. And I'm like, this is not for me. This is for like maybe 20-year-olds or something. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Pet project.
My personal just kind of thing with like a lot of A24 movies is they tend to be extremely hit or miss for me personally. Like, just thinking about kind of in a sort of similar vein, but did you see In a Violent Nature? It also came out, I believe, by A24 this year.
No.
That was kind of like another one, like the indie kind of just sort of horror breakouts where again it's a bit weird and high concept,
first person,
but it's
or third person point of view.
It basically it's like a Friday the 13th style film, but it follows the killer around kind of over his shoulder like the entire time.
I tried watching that too and I turned it off. It was I get what they were doing there. It was kind of fun. They're like, if you were the killer and you were stalking people, what would it be like? The problem is it's like you were experiencing it in real time. He's walking through the woods for like 10 minutes.
Largely like a big, just like big bulky kind of dirty guy, just kind of just wandering around in like the Canadian forest.
Yeah. Yep.
So like outside of that, any other sort of big kind of 2024 shout-outs for like
a ton of shout-outs, man. I'm gonna go through this fairly quickly, but for TV, my shout-outs. I'm not done yet. If you've seen it, don't ruin it. Squid Game season 2. I'm about 4 episodes in. I love it. I think it's great. It's kind of like they're rehashing season 2 almost, but continue the story on. But they're adding little twists here, and some main characters are being like killed off and stuff. So it's interesting to see where it's going. I'm excited. So I'm gonna call that out before I even finish it, but. So far, bravo. The one I'm sure you guys called out is The Boys, season 4. Holy hell, that show just keeps going, keeps delivering. I'm excited for the next season. And that was just so good. For anime, I'm going to call it some anime. I'll call out you guys, I'm sure you haven't watched this. It's fine. There's 2 I watched this year. One's by the guy, he worked on Chainsaw Man. It's a manga and anime about a guy that has chainsaws for hands and a head. This one's called Dan Da Dan. It's about a boy and a girl.
I actually, now when I started watching the first couple episodes of that, it's great so far.
The studio that makes it, that animated it, is the one that did that Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim Breaks Out or something.
Oh, so the recent Netflix thing that they did?
Yeah. It was only 1 season, but that Scott Pilgrim one where it's like, what if Scott Pilgrim died? And life moves on kind of thing. It's so that animation studio, man, they're killing it. It was just really bright poppy colors. It's really fast paced. It's good to the source material, but it's one of those things where you don't sit down and you're like, okay, they're just doing all the typical anime tropes. It's a bunch of weird shit that you sit there scratching your head by the end of the first episode, like how are they going to keep this going? But they do it, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Just great animation, great soundtrack, fucking funny, which is like a kind of a rare thing for anime for me, but like legitimately funny and entertaining for at least like the small number I've seen so far.
What's it called?
Yeah, Dan Da Dan.
Dan Da Dan.
How do you?
I don't know what it means.
That?
I asked my wife; she doesn't know, but it's. I think it means like Dan Da Da Dan.
Okay.
So it's like Dan.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, and it's weird. Okay. I'm not sure if you're maybe the right person to be watching it, but Watch it.
Gotcha.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it. See
Okay.
what happens.
I'll check it out.
So the
Sounds like a
really
challenge.
quick elevator pitch is that there's two teenagers. There's a girl who believes in ghosts but doesn't believe in aliens, and there's a guy who believes in aliens but doesn't believe in ghosts. And in the first episode, the girl gets kidnapped by aliens, and the guy gets possessed by a ghost named Turbo Granny, whose big catchphrase is "I want to gobble that weenie."
Yeah. Okay.
The smile on Eric's face as I describe that.
So,
yeah,
who am I
it
high
starts
fiving?
there.
It's Turbo Granny. Get
And
over
where do you
here.
watch something like this?
What's up?
Where do you watch something like this?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix. Okay.
So
Got it.
honestly, even in Japan, it's one of the top 3 anime for this year. As far as I know, it's number 1, but I'm sure there's some classics that are up there too.
Right.
Okay, so the other one I picked, right, is called Kaiju 8, and I talked about this one before. What if there is the focus of it's an anime where there's kaiju, and the main character is somebody who's part of the cleanup crew after a kaiju gets obliterated and its guts get all over the city and stuff like that, and everything gets destroyed. This guy's part of the cleanup crew and cutting up the monster and helping get rid of it so they can life can move on. Although this guy gets infected with some kind of parasite that turns him into like a kaiju killer. And so it's all about how he wanted to be part of the superhero squad that actually kills the kaiju instead of the cleanup crew. And now they're kind of hunting him. But he's also he passed the exam and he's also trying to be part of their team at the same time. But he's kind of like undercover and helping them out and stuff. So it's so funny. There's one scene I was not sold on it, but there's a scene where the guy finally turns into like this kaiju monster thing, and he's like, "What do I do? My body, it's so messed up." And he's like, "Oh God, I gotta pee so bad." And he's looking down and he has no crotch, and he's like, "How the hell do I pee?" And then just urine starts squirting out of his nipples, and he starts screaming. It's so hysterical. I was like, did not expect that. That one's on Crunchyroll. I think it's Crunchyroll exclusive, but it's pretty funny. It's very anime.
Well, nice. Well, Eric, some kind of fun shout outs there. Let's get on to sort of the episode proper. This this doesn't for us exactly mark a full year of actually doing the show, but we started back in kind of spring of 2024. These are about 30. This is our 36th episode, and going back through the spreadsheet, we've knocked out over, it looks like 60 hours of kind of recorded material at this point. So, like I said, we kind of wanted kind of like sort of with all those kind of conversations and all like the different sort of movies and other culture that we kind of watched and discussed. We thought it would kind of be fun to just kind of tiptoe back through and sort of think about kind of like looking back some kind of interesting memories or things that kind of stood out for this. The first one I had here that I wanted to discuss was the biggest surprise on the podcast. So, Andy or Naveen, if you guys, either you want to go first for that.
Go for it, Andy.
Okay, for me, there were actually a number of surprises as far as like things that we watched that I really liked, that I didn't expect to like, and things that I didn't like as much as I thought I would. I was surprised that I didn't like a movie that I chose as much as I remembered liking it, which was Almost Famous. That one didn't hit as hard for me this time around as it has in previous watches. But to me, the biggest surprise is, and it shouldn't have been a surprise to me, was The Thing. I'm not a huge horror guy, so I think that's why I always kind of stayed away from it. But I mean, you got a John Carpenter movie, which I think I've liked pretty much every John Carpenter movie I've ever watched. I haven't seen his whole anthology or whatever, but I've watched quite a few John Carpenter movies, and I remember liking all of them. Kurt Russell being in it is usually pretty much a slam dunk for me. I'm a fan of his. With Wilford Brimley, is always a
Mhm.
joy to see. Keith David,
True, like a lifetime best performance from Wilfred on that one, other than his diabetes commercial.
perhaps. I mean, cheesy 80s special effects, which at the time were not cheesy, but they, you look back on them
Mhm.
now and you can see how fake they are. They're still amazing, but all
Mm.
these things are totally in my wheelhouse. But for whatever reason, I had, one, I had never watched it. Two, I had never really planned on watching it. I know that,
Mm.
we've got friends that love it. I know you guys have always spoken very highly of it, but it was never something that was on my to-do list. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was a very, I was very pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it and how happy I was that I had, sat down and actually watched it.
No, awesome. Thinking back, I was lucky enough last year to kind of not only kind of rewatch The Thing for the pod, but during Halloween in Vegas, one of the art house cinemas that we have in town actually did a full kind of theatrical projection of it. So getting to kind of go and see that again, in on the big screen in the dark with popcorn and everything else was just a high point for a year that personally for me had a lot of kind of movie high points. The Thing, one of the best movies made about how your job and your coworkers are probably slowly killing you.
That's true.
Oh man, amen to that.
Naveen, how
Amen
about
to
yourself?
that.
Biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise. Actually, The Thing was on my list as well, but I won't. All the same reasons. It was just really well done. I mean, yeah, even though the effects were cheesy, I mean, they were real effects, and it's much better than the CGI stuff that they do now sometimes.
The CGI digital nonsense that we've kind of grown up with that thankfully kind of like a lot of movies seem to be finally backing away from after some kind of really kind of dire stuff like in the 90s and in the aughts. The fact that movies just this year like In a Violent Nature and Beetlejuice and Alien Romulus, all they just went back to kind of entirely practical. And and that these things can be, I think, a bit, maybe look like a bit sort of just odd or out of place in kind of retrospect. But these things at the end of the day age so much better than just kind of the garbage digital stuff that we've kind of been kind of dealing with these past few decades.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the reasoning behind people not liking Star Wars Episodes 7, 8, and 9. But I think their effects were a little better because they did kind of go back to using puppets and things that George Lucas did in the beginning, as opposed to just all the CGI from Episodes 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, the CGI the thing was pretty nice. But the other one I wanted to shout out, being a big surprise, was actually The Raid. That was a really cool and just beginning to end, it was just a really cool movie to watch and kept me hooked. So that was the other one.
Lean, adrenaline pumping. The whole thing looked like it had been made for about $200, but just it's a modern action standard bearer, I personally think.
Right. Yep. And I think we mentioned it being kind of really close to a video game. It's kind of a live action
survival horror.
Video game. Yeah. You're getting up that building to get to the boss.
Yep. Right. And the boss himself has kind of multiple sort of kind of just phases of attacks depending on how much damage he's actually taken. Mad Dog doesn't bite harder until he actually gets a light bulb shard in his neck.
Keeps going.
Yeah.
Mean bastard.
Yeah. Papa, how about yourself? Biggest surprise?
Oh man, guys. It was I looked at all the movies we've seen. My biggest surprise is I haven't seen The Rock yet. I still have no idea what the hell The Rock is about. I think the more I've gone along and seen all these other flicks, I have zero intention of ever going back to watching it. And I'm sure at some point I'll just kind of script out what I think it's actually about and maybe share it with you. But I think in terms of the films I did see, the biggest surprise for me was Sholay. That film came out 1975. 1975. And so I'm 1975 Bollywood flick. It's 3.5 hours long or something. I'm gonna
I was there in my head like this is going to be a slog, and then
yeah, exactly. I think we were watching it on Tubi as well. I'm like, well, if it made it to Tubi, then it can't be that much of a classic. But there's just so many good things about it that I loved. I mean, it was just the perfect combination of like comedy, action, the musical numbers, the drama. I think the thing that blew me away though the most was Viru and Jai's friendship. It was so beautiful and everlasting that I was just enamored. And despite them being
and in very close second place for Eric, prison Hitler warden.
Yeah.
Prison Hitler.
He was there. I you know what?
I forgot about that.
If they left him in the movie for like the entire movie, he just kept popping up. I'm still there. I'm still there the whole way. Like you've made a true fan out of me.
Right.
But
keep that movie in theaters for 12 years. I'm going to come back every week.
And who was it? Who's the bad guy in the movie? Gabber Singh.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like holy shit, what a bastard! He's like, ripping arms off, just murdering people, making who was it? Is it Viru's girlfriend dance for his life in glass or something like that?
Yep.
Shards of glass with broken beer bottles. I was like, what an asshole. And then there was the cop. Who's the cop?
The inspector.
The inspector.
Tucker
Was
said?
it?
Right.
Tucker Singh.
Tucker Singh, yes.
Mhm.
When he steps on that fucking snake at the very end, he just stomps him with his boots like a snake. Just kills Gabber. I remember there was like the alternative ending where he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
And then but he kills him in the original, and I was like, thank you. I needed that closure. It was just so good.
Yeah. Just
What a
a movie
film.
sort of going in, which is sort of kind of just just zero knowledge, because this is I was rereading some of my notes on Cholet, and the like a reviewer said, this is a movie that has had no cultural osmosis outside of India. Like this is a thing. Like a lot of kind of very famous foreign movies, kind of foreign films. Maybe like a little bit by reputation of like, oh, there's this one character, this one scene, whatever else. I think sort of speak for Andy, Eric, and myself. Like we had no idea what was going to happen at any point, kind of going to this movie, and it was just kind of cinema the entire time.
I know. I think the thing that really just made me feel bad about it afterwards is the choice I made for a film for that cycle. I could have done so much better. That bar was set so high. I mean,
Wow.
I had so many choices, and
I always start off strong.
Yeah,
I always start off strong, and then I throw an opportunity knocks, and then there it goes.
yeah. There you go. I mean, I think that was like a cocky choice. So, we got to level set you.
Yeah.
Just highs and lows, dude. It's about the journey at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Biggest surprise for me, like, I mean, there was a kind of ton of them, like, I kind of considered kind of shouting out Empire Records for a movie that I didn't really kind of think was shit at first, but I found it kind of just really the more I kind of went back to it, the more it kind of grew on me in a meaningful way. Related biggest surprise, how good Gwar was in concert. Certainly have to mention that.
Yeah.
But sort of like surprises for me, kind of Valkenvania was kind of the really big one, sort of looking back. It was, sort of like,
that's true. Shock that was. I mean, it's not laugh out loud funny. It's a very weird, twisted movie, and it doesn't make much sense, but it does have its charm.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those for me of like a couple of these things that we kind of covered previously. Particularly The Thing, and the original Blade Runner, and Big Trouble in Little China are movies that kind of flopped in the time at the time, but sort of were kind of rediscovered and kind of reclaimed as these cult objects. Valkenvania, the entire time, I'm like, I get why this failed in 1991. this should be a movie they run at like Adult Swim at 3 a.m. like every single week. Like it was shocking to me, like just how kind of weirdly modern so much just about felt in just in terms of kind of the, again, like that, it just the crazy Aykroyd bullshit and the costumes and the big kind of Centralia, Pennsylvania inspired kind of sort of wasteland town, and like kind of like the haunted mansions with all the kind of the traps and the secret doors and the roller coaster that dissolved Daniel Baldwin and just and Gobo, and just the whole time I'm
John,
watching it going like,
penis nose. You're forgetting the penis nose, John.
Sorry, I've got that.
That's
for
one of
later.
the main characters. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've got that for later. We'll bring that up.
Right. Yeah.
An actual penis nose.
Oh yeah.
It
Wow.
just feels like there's so much
Something's
just
coming up.
just
dedication.
temporary absurd humor, random bullshit in this. I'm like, why is this not famous now? And that's even before you take into consideration that fucking Tupac is in the movie.
And
Hey
for
man,
those
you
listeners-
can go for it.
for those listeners that are not aware, too, Johnny refers to the movie as Valkenvania. It's actually for most people, you would know it, if you would know it at all, as Nothing But Trouble. But Johnny refuses to call it that. In perpetuity, it will always be Valkenvania to Johnny.
Valkenvania was Dan Aykroyd's original title for the movie, and I refuse to kind of acknowledge any other.
That's fair.
I will
I
not
respect
get vision
that.
from him.
I respect that. I just figured for continuity for the folks listening, Leonard, basically.
Who's that?
Just Leonard.
Yeah, hey,
We just
buddy.
have-
Eric, while you've been gone, we've kind of just we've fallen into like a bit of a habit of kind of shouting out Leonard kind of once per episode, like on the pod.
Is he like the ghost in the room? Just kind of hover.
He's the
He's
only
real.
person listening, Eric.
I'm listening, Andy. I'm right here. I'm here for you, buddy. Although if you
You're
ask me
only
if I listened
listening-
to the last 2 episodes, no.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. You're
No.
only listening when you're here, and even that's shaky.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure my vocals are not like, off too much.
Yeah,
They
well,
sound fine.
it's important to make sure that you sound good.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree with me.
So moving on. Funniest moment from like the laugh of funniest moment, if you can narrow it down, because I mean, just we've had a couple giggles sort of making this thing, but a gentleman
one.
that kind of jumps out. Okay, shoot.
The funniest moment for me, and this is also kind of the most unexpected moment for me, is when I had to explain what a human centipede is to Andy. And then after I explained to him what a human centipede is, I had to tell him to put us in one.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that conversation.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't think
fucking
I'll ever
weird,
get that one
dude,
down.
but it's funny.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Yeah.
I was like,
I
you don't
looked
even
into
have
that
to watch horror
conversation.
films to like get what a human centipede is. It's just like word of mouth thing. Like, dude, you hear about that movie with that weird German guy that like stuck those like
I'm familiar with
hitchhikers and like a human centipede?
Word of mouth to word of mouth to anus to mouth to anus to mouth, right?
Yeah, depending on where in the human centipede you are. Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
hopefully it's just mouth with anus.
Eh,
Andy, the
why
second you
is
said
it yeah, that's a
word
good
of mouth
call. I
or
forgot
by
about
jaw suture to rectum, you take your pick.
Yeah.
Amazing.
that.
I guess the
actually-
one thing that like I thought about afterwards is I'm like, what if the person in the middle sleeps with a night guard? I'm just saying, how you gonna take that thing in or get it out? Yeesh.
You can't. You can't. What if they need a CPAP machine?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open
You're out of luck,
up your
man.
anus. Here it comes.
You got to reinflate the tire from the
Here
middle.
comes the tube. I'm gonna shoot it out.
Okay, so I'm changing my funniest moment of the podcast to what we're talking about.
We're right now.
Maybe
No,
right now.
hold on, guys. I got to type. Andy, how about yourself?
When is this happening? It's happening now. Are
Yeah.
you now?
Right
Yes,
now.
now. It's
Now.
no.
I have a top three.
Ooh. Okay.
And these are so I looked at it differently. I thought of my funniest moments that from a movie that I think also inspired really funny moments on the pod. The first one, this is the second time we'll bring up Thakur Singh getting his arms ripped off in Sholay is still one of the funniest damn things I think I've ever seen in my life. And we...
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, not the fact that he got them ripped off, but just the way that they did it, and he clearly had his arms in his shirt, kind of a thing. And anyway, that inspired some very funny conversations, if I recall. Number 2 was in fact Dick Knows, and I wrote Dick Knows in all capital letters with an exclamation point. Dick Knows. But I think my favorite, and I had forgotten about this until I was going back through the show notes. And I came across our very first in-person watch, where we all watched together here at my house. We watched Creepshow. And Johnny I put something in the notes that was to the effect of, quote, "Yeah, the scary part is over," which I don't know if it was in fact in reference to me personally, although I think it was in the part where
1,000% it was in reference to you personally.
Yes, where all the cockroaches start coming out, and I just buried my face in my lap, basically curled up into a ball. And Johnny says to me, maybe 30 seconds into the gross part, "Don't worry, basically it's over. The gross part's over." And I looked up, and it was not over. It was so not over. And yeah. So not necessarily funny to me.
It's something, full disclosure, I did not think for a moment you would actually fall for, but here we are.
I don't know what that says about me. But not necessarily funny in the moment for me, but in hindsight, very funny on a lot of levels.
I loved it. I had that in my notes too. Just how boring I hadn't seen the movie in a long time. I think I watched parts of it. I never made it all the way to that last skit, but I was like, I'm with the rest of you guys. I'm like, this is really effing boring. And then they're showing random cockroaches because he's in the city or whatever. I don't know. Or they're sneaking in his bubble, and it's kind of disturbing. But the whole thing with all the cockroaches showing up, it was, I don't know how it hit so hard and so quickly for you, because I'm like, Andy's made of stronger stuff than this, and then you're like, oh god.
That's like honestly one of my worst nightmares.
Yeah.
That and anything claustrophobic, getting stuck in a cave head first kind of thing. Those two things.
Write that down. Let me write that down.
Oh boy, that's gonna be Eric's next pick.
Next time Andy fucks with you, tie him up, stick him in cave.
Next episode, Eric's going to try to sort of rationalize that you can
coming to you live from the cave.
Video game adaptation.
This is Eric. I'm joined by Andy. Dear God, there's cockroaches in here.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. If I'm stuck in a cave that's also full of cockroaches, holy shit! Just kill me now.
Think about being in a cave with cockroaches, and you're also in a human centipede. 3 for 3.
That's true. That's true.
That's the trifecta.
Yeah, I know. Good, I gotta take a shit. Why's my asshole puckering?
Wait, what did you say? You dropped your night guard?
Yeah. Oh, grinding again.
Naveen, how about yourself?
Nice. I mean, Eric kind of did one for me already with the sound effect.
Did you install it?
But that ice cream bunny scene with going it's like I lost it. It was good. But I think one of the other ones is it was kind of on record, but it's been mostly off it as well. Is finding out that Andy loves watching the Westminster Dog Show on Thanksgiving. And it's like, yeah, it's my tradition. And then now it seems to be growing because Eric is like, yeah, I'm watching it, and he watched it. And
who's laughing now, guys? Who's laughing now?
Who's laughing now is Vito all the way to the bank.
I was like, that pug. There's no way that pug's. And then all of a sudden, the pug won. I was like, son of a bitch. How did Vito do it?
And you're gonna watch it again next year or this year.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You will.
Is Vito
Guaranteed.
competing again? Is he going to be there? I mean,
How will
I'm
you
not
know
saying
unless you
so,
watch
but-
and find out?
look, I mean, I'm already subscribed to his OnlyFans page, so I mean, I'm just saying, if he's going to be there, then I might turn up.
Yeah. And then
That's sweet pug.
yeah. And then lastly, I mean, again, nostalgia is a bitch, but way Opportunity Knocks just got shit on by you guys and everything. It was great. And it well deserved.
Podcast ain't over, my friend.
And whole Robert Loggia.
Amr Loja, he was a fucking
Loggia.
fucking gem. Love that guy. Didn't even know his name when I was younger, but I was a fan.
Yeah.
If he has an OnlyFans
He's been there
page,
the entire time.
he's a
That's the guy from the
posthumous
movie.
OnlyFans page. I'll be there. Where do they keep getting all this pay dirt from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funniest moment for me, and despite not wanting to give a certain co-host the amount of credit I'm about to give, but just
For you, Eric.
going from my heart and thinking about like the 3 times I've laughed the hardest on the show. First one was Warren Wahlberg. Absolutely
Don't give
having a
him that.
fizz.
Don't give him the credit.
I knew somebody was
Uh,
going
poor
to call that
imitation.
one.
Yeah.
I knew it.
A second funny, like the single joke I laughed the hardest at over the course of the show is we were talking Blade Runner 2049, and we were talking about having sex with replicants, and Eric asked, "Is it like a K-cup situation after you're done?" And that nearly destroyed me. That nearly gave me an aneurysm. I think like. I was wondering, like Naveen might have to trim part of the pod at that point because I'm just trying to just draw a breath for like 5 straight minutes after they came through. But so
Still not recyclable.
Is it the kind of thing where the K cup is kind of just crushed, but then you take it out of the machine, or is it the kind of thing where like the K cup or like the machine has like a cavity in the back? And then the cup just sort of tumbles into the cavity, and then you gotta just empty it out once every sip. And just
punctures into the cup and then releases the fluid, and then just disposes of it in the abyss.
Nope, don't like that.
Plop, plop.
talk about a French roast.
Nope, not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, right. But those are the 2 things that made me laugh the hardest. But I think what has to get honorable mention, I know this is me patting myself like on the back like a little bit, but when we were doing our very recent Strange Brew episode, and the assignment was come up with the most absurd, stereotypical New England show that you can possibly pitch, and instead of doing that, I just described Wahlburgers verbatim. It had the dual. It had dual responses that I love so much, because when I just started just word for word describing the show about the 3 idiot brothers, Mark, Paul, and Donnie, Andy started like crying, laughing. But what almost kind of derailed me is at the same time, Eric just goes, "Shut up."
Guys, look it. It's fucking Father of the Year over here.
You know what, Johnny? That's a good call out. I actually completely forgot about that moment. That was definitely the hardest I've laughed on the pod.
Right.
Yeah, definitely the hardest I've laughed.
Right. It's just when you get a moment like that from Eric where he's not even laughing, he's just mad at you. Your concept is so pure that just shut up. You have no idea how much joy that brought.
Oh man, I was like, is he gonna keep? No, he's gonna deliver the whole thing. Okay, just let him get it out.
Get it out of his system.
He needs this.
Right.
I need an ice pack. He needs this.
Get it out of your system. Throw out the K cup after.
Yeah.
No, Come on.
No.
It'd be like an espresso
Moving on.
pod. I mean, at least that's
Right.
made. At least it's made of metal. Ouch.
Oh, ooh.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. Moving on. Let's kind of get to like our burnt end sections, and I'm not quite sure like kind of what like the best way to do this will be, but I wrote down let's for the burnt ends. Like I said, this is either kind of new takes or kind of older takes you didn't have time to kind of get out in the last episode, or observations that have kind of come to you after the fact, kind of things you might have reconsidered, bits or jokes, whatever else. But to do this, why don't we just kind of go through like the half a dozen cinematic kind of thematic cycles that we've done so far, and anybody. We don't have to do this in a way where everybody has to say something for like every cycle, but let's kind of go through one at a time. And if you have something you kind of want to bring up, just shout it out. So, first, cult films. This was The Rock, Big Trouble in Little China, The Thing, and Akira. I believe were like the four that we did for that cycle. Any burnt ends on those?
So for me,
I regret my choice.
It's
Yeah.
I mean,
Say it, Andy. Just say it, man.
Well, so yeah, no, I regret your choice too.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't enjoy Akira nearly as much as I hoped that I would. But no, what I was going to say was I think that might have been it might have been our most successful theme yet. And let me preface that by saying I'm including some movies that weren't necessarily in that theme that were cult classic movies that we have subsequently watched. I think that style of movie really suits us, and it's for me anyway. Just speaking for me, I have the most fun talking about those and like kind of reliving those with you guys. So I think that like for instance, Creepshow, that's definitely a classic type film that we didn't watch in that and maybe Road Warrior might be a bit of a stretch because I think it was a bigger success than that, but those movies.
Road Warrior did kind of quite well for its time, but The Warriors I think very definitely kind of falls in.
Oh, Warriors, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So yeah, to me I think the cult films are my favorite ones that we've touched on so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I will say for Akira, in terms of anime, and especially an introduction into like an anime flick, Akira is the one that it fits the definition of like a cult film. It has such a huge following, and I think it's more so for the visuals than the actual story. But there's also just the whole thing with Tetsuo just blowing up at the end there into that giant mass of like insanity. It's like it's moments like that just that stick with people, and I think it's that's what it is more so than the actual story. Like people aren't just going in being like, okay, let's just get a true story of friendship between Tetsuo and Kaneda. They're just kind of like, what the fuck am I watching? And the bike scene and just the visuals and just what's being accomplished just by things hand drawn by people on freaking film cells.
And particularly when you consider like this is an American audience. This is probably particularly back 87, 88, 89. I forget what the exact year was, but like just the fact this is a thing from Japan, a culture that we've never seen any movies from, and this being the first thing that you're exposed to, like a movie that's so much work into. There's some crazy stat about like how they had to invent a new color red because as like animating like that actual thing. Yeah, I would. I sort of watching it when we now have anime and adaptations that sort of that sort of fit large volumes of source material like a lot better. I think like a lot of what's sort of useful for kind of talking about movies and especially these older kind of cult objects is you have to think at least a little bit about where were people at the time, what was film at the time when they first saw this.
Yeah, this at that time, definitely, I don't think any adults were even knew what anime was. Most people are kind of like, you think of like, oh, there's Dragon Ball or something like that, or Sailor Moon or Speed Racer. You don't think there could be this epic thing that's actually at movie theaters that's just fucking just crazy.
Yeah.
But after that, I mean, that just introduced like Ghost in the Shell, which was also like another big thing they showed at theaters. And there's so many other films that they've showed by this point that, I mean, the fact that anime is just like a mainstay thing, like it's like high schoolers are like, yeah, everybody's already seen like all of Naruto. Or all these
the
things
fact in 2025 more like sort of elementary school boys care about Naruto than care about fucking Batman. I mean, like the fact that it basically
that's personal to you. It hurts, right?
That does hurt.
That's just
me and John bonded on Batman. I was not sold on Batman at all, but the Batman trilogy, like the Arkham games,
the Arkham games are just sort of like adult video games standard bearers. Yeah,
they were so good. So I mean, I'm sold on that. Superman, I have yet to see.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Anything else to sort of say about sort of like the set of cult, our initial set of kind of cult movies that we covered?
No, I'm
Nope.
good.
Going on to coming of age films. For this, we did. Let's see, it was Almost Famous, We Are Little Zombies, Empire Records, and we on the.
Yeah, it's not We Are Little Zombies. It was
Empire Records, Almost Famous, Good Boys, and The Warriors.
Yeah.
Good Boys. That's correct. Right.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe that we lumped Warriors under here.
Yeah, I was thinking, look at the same thing. Like,
cult films, like
Yeah.
that's a cult film.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that was what, like 1978 as well.
79.
And had any who of us had seen that movie?
I had seen it.
You had
Nope.
seen it? Okay.
Yeah.
Like how have we not seen it? I mean, it's not like it didn't blow me out of the water, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. Like if I saw that in like the 90s or something, early 90s, I mean, that would have stuck with me. It was just all the gangs trying to get after them, the warriors, and trying to kill them, and the cops are chasing them. Like, holy shit.
I think like a fun movie for me personally. I think like one of the best conversations we've also had on the show.
Yeah.
Definitely. I still think that's a high point for us. That one, the Thing episode, is a high point for us for sure. Yeah, there's a few of them, but that one's definitely in there.
Yeah, I'm glad I made my choice, to be honest.
The coming of age topic or category.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with your choice there, Eric. Good Boys was great that it was a middle school one. It was awesome, and it kind of hit a lot of those points that like we all went through at that time.
Yeah. It's a little over the top, but I mean, at the same time, it's like my son watched with me, and he was in middle school at the time, and I'm like, how far fetched is this? And some of it, he was just kind of like, gross. I don't know what that is, but at the same time, that he was not laughing as hard as I was, which I thought was funny, like because he's like, oh yeah, people talk like that. People are assholes. People talk like shit. People, sneak beers, at their parents' party and drinking in the woods and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, wow, okay. I'm learning so much about my son that I didn't want to know.
Yeah, but at the same time, it sounded it was like it sounded like he related to it more than he actually did not. And like that's the thing that just stuck with me so much about sort of Good Boys was just how it's. Everything feels so high stakes and so end of the world when you're kind of that age, and a maturing thing you kind of have to go through at different points is realizing that these things aren't necessarily like the end all be all. Like the big kind of climactic moment in the film is the guys being like, yeah, you know what, we all kind of belong to sort of these different these different kind of cliques, and Lucas should be with kind of like the nerds, and Zeus should be with theater kids, and Jason Tremblay is just going to be like a fuckboy for like a little while, and they're just like, okay, and it's it. But they were just like, okay, so we're different friends from kind of like different social circles, but then like the movie ends with like, you know what, we don't actually have to be this sort of precious about this at all. We can we still enjoy hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
we can kind of do both. We can kind of have our clicks, but we can also have our childhood friends at the same time.
Yeah. Another thing about this movie too is I didn't want to pick Superbad. I think for this cycle we could have all easily have chosen
The really
very
obvious
obvious
ones,
choices. I mean, I was going to choose Can't Hardly Wait. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like Superbad or something like that because that's an obvious one. I love it.
American Pie would be like
American
another.
Pie.
Like,
Oh, good God.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you were,
I mean-
you were big on Superbad because we released Almost Famous. So I was redoing it, and at the end there you were talking about, I'm doing Superbad, I'm doing Superbad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's fun. It's a funny flick. It really I love it. I tried watching it on a flight a few months back, and the one thing I noticed is they swear so much in that film that it makes me feel like it's almost, it's not. This is not how high schoolers are necessarily. But that's why when I saw Good Boys, I was like, oh wow, this seems kind of raunchy and not realistic. And then as it settled, I was like, no, maybe this is more real than Superbad is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Superbad thing kind of going off, kind of like the
Also
Seth
way over
Rogen and Evan Greenberg script. It's just kind of like, it felt a little bit like, oh, they're just kind of chopping at the bit to make sausage party like later on down the line.
Yeah, well, we're bringing that priceless gem back. Fuck you, Amazon Prime.
The only sort of like note I had for coming of age movies was like a take I didn't have a chance to kind of get off when we were discussing Empire Records, but it was kind of like
You want to get off? Is that what it is?
That's what I
Are you
heard.
ready to get off?
oh well, just here comes me talking about
I'm not doing
Liv Tyler
anything
for a
else
few
right
minutes.
Yeah, me and my K cups are hanging out. You wanna dispose of us?
With the dick ring.
Hold on, let me take out my mouth guard first.
Yeah.
But what did I write down? Liv Tyler, not a convincing human being, was something I didn't have like.
Oh my God, that's my exact notes for Armageddon. Real doll delivers lines.
This is the thing. Like, just so let me kind of throw out for like Empire Records alternate casting for like the high strung nerdy girl who's kind of a good girl but sort of has like a kind of like subdued sort of nasty streak and has like a pill problem that's kind of obvious to everybody else, but she's in kind of like denial about being like an issue. But Claire Danes I thought might have been like a much better kind of casting for that than Liv Tyler.
Okay.
Huh.
Especially during that time when she was doing what was it, My So-Called Life?
My So-Called Life, and like the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and
Yeah.
Juliet was kind of pretty
Yeah.
close to this.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good shout. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
Sort
there's a
of
lot
like
of
a random
folks
sort
that
of- I mean,
probably,
just-
of that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my connection sucks, guys. Sorry.
That's right. We can hear you, but we can't see
Okay.
you. So, what were you saying?
Yeah, I just turned my camera off. What I was saying was I think there's a bunch of actors from that time period that could have. Nope. Shit.
You're denying yourself? You're like, nope, she was the one. I changed my mind. It was her.
Yeah,
was
I was
her.
going.
Oh no, it's Ice Cream Bunny.
No.
The ice cream bunny and Art the clown just came sneaking into the room.
Yeah, I know. Kids, where are the kids without names? Boys, save me, boys.
Ruh-roh, Ranta reads me.
Scooby, save me, Scooby.
And you were saying, Andy?
All right. He was not.
Is he frozen? Oh, there he is.
No. All right. I think we got him back.
Oh shit. Oh
I
shit!
think I'm back now.
Somebody just got invited to a human centipede party.
I can only imagine what I just missed.
Opportunity knocked the marathon.
You were there for it, so you should remember. You're just frozen in place.
So let's move on here real quick. Asian cinema. So those movies were, like we talked about, Sholay, Kung Fu Hustle, We Are Little Zombies, and The Raid. Anything extra to say about them?
I wanted to. I think I got to. I know I wasn't a big fan of We Are Little Zombies, but I do want to revisit it and do the route that Eric had mentioned, where you kind of break it up into episodes as opposed to just trying to watch it as one big, one big movie, and break it up that way. Since they kind of do that already in the film.
They do. They have the chapters where each kid acquires their like item,
right,
that they're looking for. It honestly, if I remember you guys talk about how you never grew up playing RPGs, like you and Andy. So I mean, if you grew up playing RPG games, that's what it was all about. You have your characters, you have your main character, and then you pick up other characters along the way, and you're acquiring items. And
each character has a specific identity and a specific sort of specialty around them. This is particularly for the old school Super Nintendo's Final Fantasy games. That was one of the most kind of compelling things about like the storytelling that they had in those.
I think the most real thing I got out of Andy for that movie, which I didn't expect much after learning he didn't like it, was how he noted how the song "We Are Little Zombies," how catchy it is. Because I picked up on that too. I was like, I like these kind of movies. They're kind of weird and different and very Japanesey. And then they have that song, and then the song hits, and you're like, oh shit! Despite all the weird homeless guys in the background and the recording it like a whatever garbage dump or something like that. That song is really catchy. And I mean, I think out of all they played like 3 songs, and the other ones were throwaway songs, but that first one, it was so good. And I'm like, that kind of like reinvigorated me to like keep watching the movie, because I'm like, oh wow, shit, this is really good. Now it's going to get into the music, which it didn't, which kind of sucks, because if they had done more of that, then I think it would have been the movie.
Really one of those similar to like Akira, where you can kind of imagine like this was maybe not a complete success as a movie, but might have had a real shot as like a Netflix miniseries.
I think in terms of talking about like cult classics, I could see this being one in Japan. It flew under the radar for a lot of people, but if you go online and see all like the comments for people they left for that song, there's so many people that are just like, oh my God, that movie made me look at life so differently. And there was so many things that I noticed about my own life that I just felt like I couldn't connect with anybody on. And it just put it into perspective, and it was just an awesome flick. So, I mean, and that's Japanese people, not, American people. So I'm like, that's really cool.
I still sing that song almost every time I see the word zombies. I still go, we are little zombies. Every time. Every time.
You sing that song, I sing the Chim Pokemon song.
Chim Pokemon.
Gotta find him. You gotta find him. I got you.
I liked the Asian cinema round a lot more than I thought I was going to. We Are Little Zombies didn't hit for me, but there were parts of it that I thought were really cool. But Sholay was really good. I loved The Raid. I loved Kung Fu Hustle. I thought it was just so awesome. That was a definite high point of movie. Of the whole pod. Really, for me, was that movie was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I had for like my Asian cinemas notes, like there was a segment we did in Sholay that I had completely forgotten about, but it was called like Bollywood Ending, and basically the idea was like what other movies have we watched that could be improved by all the cast singing and dancing to a specific song over the end credits. And some of the ideas that I had there were Akira should have ended with Queen's Bicycle Race. Big Trouble in Little China should have ended with kung fu fighting. The Thing should have ended with the foreigners. They're cold as ice. So
Nice.
it's a great little segment. It's something I think we should kind of bring back to like the episodes at some point. But I had a couple new ones. I wrote down that Blade Runner 2049 should have ended with like the whole cast dancing and singing Styx's Mr. Roboto. Grizzly Man, like the credits could have just had anything by minus the bear. And Valkenvania should have just like there should have just been a post-credit scene with like with Tupac just holding up a newspaper from 2025 and being like, inauguration's coming soon, haha. Then he just like
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's too close to home. Sorry, man.
Too close. Yeah. Too soon.
Too soon.
4
Too soon.
years.
Let's go on to SNL leads. Anything to kind of tag on those movies? That was Lost in Translation, Opportunity Knocks, Valkenvania, and
Dirty Work.
Dirty Work. Thank you.
Yeah. God damn it, Naveen. Why? Why did you do it? Why did you do it?
I had to put something else out there.
You wanted me to pay money to rent this film.
I was going to say,
want to watch.
I was going to say we needed to help out Dana Carvey. He needed.
Does he need to help? He's back on SNL. He keeps popping up in random skits, and he's killing it. He's doing so good. So I mean,
and how did he get popular again?
It was R4 rentals.
Exactly.
The Amazon algorithm where like there's 4 new rentals for Opportunity Knocks.
You just earned 3 cents
money on this film in
on
decades.
rentals for Opportunity Knock.
And then
3
Lorne Michaels
cents.
like, we need to bring this guy back. Opportunity Knocks is a hit.
Yeah, let's make
So
this
Lorne
guy
Michaels
Joe
like, bring him back.
Biden. He'll do a good job.
Yeah.
That movie was terrible.
I'm sorry.
I enjoy. It's okay. No, it's inspired all kinds of fun conversations, so it's totally worth it. But God, it was awful.
It was bad.
I expected to like Dirty Work more than I did. I still liked it. It was very funny. But I don't know. Maybe I was in the wrong mood for it when we watched it because it should be a movie that I would love. That one didn't hit as hard as I thought it would.
Yeah, you like Strange Brews, so I mean, something. You just must have been off.
Yeah, it could be.
Right.
That day, yeah. You watched it late at night.
I don't actually even remember one. No, I think I actually watched it like in the middle of the day at some point.
Really? Weird.
Yeah.
It's like a good wrestler movie. I mean, honestly, it's playing on Comedy Central like, I don't know, 8 times a day. So, I mean, if you had missed renting it, you could have just watched it on Comedy Central.
Probably, yeah.
Dirty Work, still one of my favorite like jokes that for movies that we watched on this podcast. But the opera critic, it just them kind of just establishing him, then 10 minutes of crazy bullshit happening, and then him standing up right at the end of the movie and applauding like he's like the whole time. I was so tickled, but they like the whole time he thinks he's watching like a hyper postmodern take on like Don Giovanni, and just getting more and more excited with each passing moment of bullshit of what's actually happening. Chris Farley and the Skunks and Jack Warden and the fucking Viking helmet and everything else.
Yeah. What about the guy, the homeless guy? He was like out in front. He's telling this whole speech about. He's like, you know what? And then all this awful stuff happened to me, but I think with this and you guys here, I mean, I think, and they're like, yeah, okay, here's your $5. And he's like, oh, thanks.
That homeless guy, Jim Downey, if I remember correctly.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Superior sequels. This was Blade Runner 2049, The Road Warrior, The Great Muppet Caper, and A Return to Oz.
I will say this. I went back looking at all my notes on this cycle, and I'm so proud of myself. And the reason is because I forced myself to watch the originals as well as the sequels, minus Oz. But I enjoyed seeing the originals and then comparing them to the sequels, especially for stuff I've never even seen before, like Road Warrior. I ended up, watching, what was it? Yeah. I watched the original one and seeing how different that was from the sequel. Yeah. And they're like two you know, the stories continue, but it's like watching two different movies. And it was just, it was really cool to not just say like, oh, this is my take on this one movie. It's like, this is my take on the original versus this one, and finding out which one do I actually like.
Looking at these things in the continuity, one of these, and what's interesting is only one of those movies was kind of made for both the original and the sequel by like the same director for the most part. A lot of these were just kind of different directors and years apart, decades in the case of like a Return to Home.
Even the Muppets, I'm not a fan of the Muppets at all, but seeing how different the first flick is versus the second one, and seeing how people might be super nostalgic for the first one versus the second one, which I thought was a lot cleaner and had better jokes. I mean, it was really interesting. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Definitely a good sequence and theme we had, because it kind of divided us, and it brought in all these different ideas of each one, which one was a superior sequel or wasn't a superior sequel. Right. I think what 2040 Blade Runner 2049 was the only one that was really, unanimous with being more.
This is
a superior sequel, right?
Better film. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But otherwise, the other ones were divided.
Very true. Very true.
I was really,
go ahead.
I was really excited. John's reaction to the Gnome King and the ruby slippers. Holy shit!
Nasty freak.
Yeah, I was like, no, this can't be a serious thing. And you brought it up. I think you were like messaging us, and you brought it up, and you're like, hey guys, maybe we should do this thing about nasty freaks. And I'm like, man, he really loved that fucking Gnome King with his ruby slippers. That's amazing. But it's also one of those things that it's so unsettling when you think about it. Look at this guy. Okay, what's the when you describe it, you do the little thing where he kicks his legs out with the little slippers on it.
Little piggy legs.
He just opens his robe and he sews like the slippers, and he's like, I got the slippers.
So, let me kind of throw this out here generally. So like a few months back when we were trying to figure out how to kind of make the podcast like a little bit more lean in terms of kind of like in terms of like the time, the pacing, a segment that we had from the first episode of the show on was Vigo's Toes, where we kind of set aside a few minutes for just kind of trivia, things that kind of happened outside the movie, sort of interesting things about what the actors and the directors went through, or how the movie itself kind of got made. It was interesting to me that when we were trying to make the show a little bit more tight, I suggested, why don't we get rid of the Vigo's Toes section? And all you guys are like, no way, that's one of the best parts of the conversation that we actually have. The Vigo's Toes, I love so much about Return to Oz was most of the Frank Baum stuff was in Frank L. Baum stuff was in public domain at that point. They could basically kind of adapt those books for free. Disney had the rights proper to anything that wasn't explicitly in public domain, but what they had to spend a shitload of money on for rights was getting the ruby slippers, being able to kind of show that, because it was silver slippers in the original movie. The ruby slippers were a idea that they had when they were making the original MGM film, and I just fucking love that they spent all that money, and that's how they used the ruby slippers in the Return to Oz. Just my freaking god.
You're waiting for them to drop it. When are the slippers going to show up? How is she going to get back this time? Oh, that Gnome King, that's slippery bastard.
Literally, after it shows him smoking with what looks like a magical crack pipe, that's the next thing.
He was clay. It was all the stop animation, and then all of a sudden it's a dude wearing makeup in a robe with ruby slippers on.
Well, initially it's just a face in a wall with human eyes, and then it just gets crazy.
That's true. Yeah.
God, that movie
I like how you ask your daughter, so did you like that movie? No. And what was it like? What's
No,
what's the best
it was
part
one of the best burns.
film if you
One
had
of
to
the
pick
best burns.
something?
Like Anna said something like, "I like two things about that movie. I like the chicken," and Andy was like,
Yeah, the
"What's
chicken."
the second thing?" She's like, "I didn't like a second thing."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That was a
So-
proud dad moment for me.
So we've not technically wrapped up the mockumentary cycle. We still have one movie left, but do you guys want to kind of get off any burn downs about mockumentaries before we get to our least and most favorite movies of the podcast?
Most of them weren't mockumentaries.
I think we only watched one mockumentary.
Yeah,
I'd say
count
two.
Deadstream as mockumentary. Yeah,
there's Deadstream,
Deadstream
and then
and Best in Show were legit. Yeah.
yeah. Best in Show.
Yeah.
Best in Show is the definite one. Deadstream is, you could make the argument for it, and I think we did on the podcast. But I mean, like, true mockumentary, Best in Show is the only one,
Yeah.
Oh, we have one of those people among us.
in my opinion. Yeah,
The true
in my-
mockumentarians.
That's
Yeah,
Right.
a purist.
Purists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you were mocking me for making you watch Opportunity Knocks, so you're like, we're gonna do this theme and not choose mockumentaries.
Yeah.
No, I just totally blew it on mine. I will own that one.
I think
Oh,
we could
yeah.
do that, like as like somebody. If one of us could come up with a script, we could make a movie about a mockumentary of Naveen choosing Opportunity Knocks. It's like, so yeah, we decided we're gonna do this podcast, and we were coming up with different ideas for cycles, and then we said, you know, I think Naveen proposed doing mockumentaries, and then there's another one for like SNL leads, and you know, what joy! There's so many great movies with SNL leads, and then Andy's just like, he picked fucking Opportunity Knocks.
It cuts single camera with me sitting in another room, like in The Office.
Yeah.
Pick the worst one.
And then
And I
Naveen's
paid
just
for
like,
it.
yeah, we paid for it too. And
Yeah.
it just cuts to Naveen just spinning in his like office chair, just like wee, wee. And
It'd
then
be
just
spinning
me.
like this, there's no wheels on it. It'd be like,
Yeah.
Flippers on.
There's absolutely a mockumentary certainly to be made about us trying to do a series of podcasts about mockumentaries and consistently fucking up actually picking mockumentaries. I mean, like that sort of, it's disappearing up its own asshole like a little bit, but you know, it's a concept. It's a concept.
Yeah.
Yep. Indeed.
All right, so let's go on. Least favorite podcast movie. This may be a quick conversation, depending, but who wants to go first on this?
I think we've had it already.
I think you can speak for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We Are Little Zombies #2. Opportunity Knocks #1.
Agreed.
I had just written down that in 1990, 234 American movies were released theatrically. Opportunity Knocks was one of them.
Accurate.
Agreed.
There's nothing you said
Anything
there
else?
that we can argue.
That is fantastic. I'm on the board for something.
You picked my favorite movie, my least favorite movie. So pat yourself on the back for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Top
Yeah.
that, suckers.
All right, so why don't we move on then? Just like a favorite podcast movie of the 35 episodes we've done previous to this. Who would like to go first?
Ooh, it's a tricky one. I think I'll jump in on this one. I don't know why, but I mean, there's a lot of movies I loved because I watched them before, and I know it was great. You know, Great Muppet Caper was a love of mine. You know, Road Warrior was great. Those ones, Kung Fu Hustle, were all great. But I have to say, for some reason, I really loved Deadstream. It was just,
All right.
it was just
Wow.
fun. Like, it had the serious moments of horror into it, but it was just hilarious. I can't remember the character's name, but I mean, I believe he was the director and writer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that part so well and so conceited and narcissistic, but yet like, and all these little
Yeah.
eccentric things he would. So it was like funny, but horror, and And I thought the whole premise of it doing with being modernized of people doing all these live streams and YouTubing and all that stuff and bringing that monetization stuff into it was just fantastic. I loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's really not a wasted second in that entire movie. Like, all the jokes are good, all the set pieces are really fun. There's legitimately done interesting, innovative horror stuff, but at the same time, it's so goddamn funny in parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly
Garlic
like it.
is
Even the artwork.
Garlic is bullshit.
Yeah, even the artwork for it was like, this is gonna be a true, legit horror movie with this artwork. Like, it has that look, and then you get to watching it, and you're like, oh,
No, that one was really good. That one was really, really good. I wrote down 3 of them, and it's now occurring to me. And well, let me say what they are, and then I'm going to ask a question. Number 3, The Road Warrior. Number 2, Big Trouble in Little China. Number 1, The Warriors. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
my question is, were those all picked by the same one of us?
That's so.
no.
Warriors was
Warriors. No.
No?
The Warriors was me. Big Trouble was Naveen. The Road Warrior was
Me.
Also, Naveen.
also
Road
Naveen.
Warrior. Yeah.
Okay. So
I got
Naveen,
2 out of 3.
You didn't pick the Warriors. For some reason, I remembered you being the one that picked the Warriors because you were the only one that had seen it. I think.
Yeah. Right. I think so.
I had also seen it.
Oh, you had. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say Naveen took the cake for me this year, but I guess Johnny, you win the number 1 spot, but Naveen's got 66% of my favorites. So there you have it.
Nice.
Cool.
Sweet. Papa, how about yourself?
There were so many films that I've seen previously that I was forced to rewatch because of this podcast. And I say this as a good thing because I think it was long overdue to come back to them. And so movies that I had loved previously, I loved even more seeing it again, at 44, being an adult with kids. And I just didn't know how they would land. And I mean, the thing that destroys me is that I didn't come back to them sooner. Kung Fu Hustle, it's so fucking good. It's so fucking funny. If I could, if I have people over or something, or somebody's like, hey, let's put on this funny movie, like pick something, you can put that movie on and it's not even in English. And it's so well done.
Yep.
My wife was like, I'll sit down and watch that movie with you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And Shaolin Soccer is good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie, but Kung Fu Hustle just it takes what they did with Shaolin Soccer, all the good parts, and then just amplifies it. It just goes like all in, and it works so well. Everything about it. I love that movie. Big Trouble in Little China. So good. Yeah. I'm stupid. I should have watched it a lot more as a human being. I really didn't. I probably seen it I watched it as a kid, as I mentioned, and I think I maybe came back to it once when I was like 12 or something, and it just didn't land for me. But it was so good.
You were an adult by 12, but
yeah, I was drinking and smoking at the time. So I mean, I had a lot of favorite movies that were maybe old favorite movies. I did, as I mentioned, though, love Sholay. I thought that one was just hit everything in terms of comedy, action, music. I think it was the reason that was a favorite for me is because it was just, I didn't expect to like it at all. I was already, gave up on it before I watched it because I'm like, there's so many things that are just not going to land here for me because it's an older film. It's a musical. It's going to be something that's been done a million times, and whatever charm it had, it got me.
There's no possible way this is going to repeatedly surprise me over the 3.5 hour running time that it has.
I forgave Thacker for his arms, his hustle of putting his arms in his shirt, trick us. I believed him the whole time. So, and he fucking stomped on that snake.
There we go.
with flying kicks too, and just got
Flying
right
kicks,
back up.
holy shit.
Mhm.
His kicks were flying through the air, and he'd still get back up and be like,
Woo!
Man, most favorite for me, just I will kind of say, like, independently of what the best movies for me were on the pod, what has been so exciting to me about kind of doing this with you guys, like, over the past year, has been how many different kinds of movies we've been able to have really good, really interesting conversations about. You know, we've done so far, we've done like a lot of kind of typical sort of 40 something 80s children kind of like sort of action movies, or kind of, the SNL comedies, like really kind of obvious picks for us. But we've done mockumentaries and documentaries and Bollywood films and horror and B movies, and like the fact that that there's not any one specific thing where it's, oh, we're going to have a fun conversation and record a fun episode about this, like, after the fact. It's really been sort of so thrilling to me that all these kind of different kinds of films from all these different eras, the fact everybody kind of hones in, and like the fact it's something that we can kind of just kind of riff on and kind of share with friends, like that for me has kind of really been one of the high points of kind of doing the show. Personal favorites, I'll just kind of shout out the ones I kind of didn't choose personally, but stuff like Sholay, Deadstream, The Raid, The Road Warrior, which I had realized kind of watching, I had never actually personally like kind of seen like all the way through, and just like the opportunity to kind of go through all these things and just kind of and just kind of hone in and make them more interesting by like the fact that, we have to have like I have to pay enough attention to this to have be able to have a good, funny, intelligent conversation about it after the fact. It really, already enjoyable movies just kind of really kind of got heightened and sharpened. For me, the absolute favorite thing that we watched out of everything on the pod, and my second favorite overall this year, was definitely kind of Big Trouble in Little China. This is a movie I had everybody else seen this movie, other than myself.
Yes.
Prior to the podcast. All right. So This was at age 44, me watching this movie for the first time, being a huge fan of The Thing, having kind of gotten into like the Carpenter stuff and kind of watched like a bunch of his other kind of recent things, like In the Mouth of Madness I'd seen just for the first time. What's the
Probably saw
what's
Halloween.
the what haven't actually seen Halloween yet.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, but They Live. There's another horror movie he did with Alice Cooper that I'm kind of forgetting, but it's Big Trouble in Little China. My jaw was on the floor the entire time, sitting there watching this and just being like, not only is this amazing, not only is this insane, but how much must this have flown over everybody else's head when this came out in fucking 1986? Just the imagination and the audacity that Carpenter had back then to basically remake a Chinese wuxia film called The Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain that had come out like a few years prior. He's like, let's do this. Let's set it in San Francisco, and let's add an idiot American that just kind of contributes nothing to the actual sort of fighting or story or anything else like the entire time. And let's end this with like a magical kung fu fight that starts with James Hong coming down an escalator, and they basically have like a big combat scene in the middle of kind of like the Vegas, like Neonopolis. Just the humor and like the weirdness and the audacity of that movie like the entire time. It completely like knocked me out.
I love those special effects.
yeah.
Just the big glowing head. Like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Just so funny, so surprising the entire time. So like that, a really, really true delight in like a year of just enjoying like a lot of different things for like a lot of different reasons. So okay, and that's, I think, pretty much what we had on the schedule. You guys, any sort of closing thoughts at all?
Looking forward to what we come up with next. What's our next cycle of theme? Theme of cycle?
Video game adaptations is what's coming up. So a little coming attractions. We're going to be wrapping Mockumentary next week with a watch of, just an extremely sort of predictable pick, but something everybody felt we kind of had to do after sort of like the run of kind of non-mockumentaries. But this is Spinal Tap will be like our next conversation. And after that will be the theme that Naveen picked. We're going to do 4 films that are video game adaptations.
That's going to be
Sweet.
fun.
Yeah.
And what'd you say, Naveen? You're going to do Tomb Raider?
I guess I am now.
Must do Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I haven't quite chosen it yet, but I mean, it's been pretty awesome since
Mhm.
April or so when we started.
No, that's correct.
March, April, and kind of interested to see where it goes.
I know. Isn't that crazy? We've been doing it that long. I was talking maybe to John the other day, and I'm like, wow, it's been like a year. And it's not been a year. It's been like what, 8 months?
8 months, give or take.
8 months.
That's
Right.
It's crazy, but it felt so long. And I think it's just there's so much that goes into this. It's not like we just say, hey guys, you free, tomorrow night you want to record, and then we'd all sit down and there's so much behind the scenes stuff that people don't see that goes into making this. And I don't think it hit me until the first episode. I think I'm like, hey, let's just jump in, see how it goes. And then when you're doing it, you want to give more. And so there's just so much prep work, you're putting on yourself because you want to make the experience better, not just for yourself and your friends, but for the people that listen. And that's what kind of keeps bringing all of us back to this, is just seeing what's coming out of this thing that we're creating. And it's been awesome. I've loved all of it. The fact that I get to rewatch movies I loved as a kid, or in college, and exploring new things I never even thought I'd be watching. Felt like Valkenmania.
Just the fact that everybody on this show knows who Timothy Treadwell is at this point is in my thinking, a huge win.
Yeah, that's a win for Johnny for sure.
Yep.
Right.
I think you all said it well. It's just fun. It's just a fun thing for us to do. It's a good way for us to keep in contact with one another. Yeah. For those out there that are listening, you should also have a podcast with your friends. Do it.
Yeah. Pelaagio.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You got the reference, right, Andy?
Yeah, no, I did.
Okay.
Wait, I think I got it.
The fact everybody knows who Timothy Treadwell and the Ice Cream Bunny is at this point is a
I
huge
know.
win in my mind.
Amazon Prime rentals have gone up for Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny.
That's how
You get
Carvey got an
logo.
Al Pacino impression on the show like 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
We're out here making waves, gentlemen. Well, just to tag on to what everybody else has kind of stated beautifully, but thinking about planning and writing for this show is an unquestionable kind of high point of my week, and it's certainly something I hope that we can kind of continue in whatever way possible. So, all right, that was our recap, episode 36. So unless there's anything else, gentlemen, thank you kindly, and have a good evening.
Yeah.
Wait, did you
Thank
guys
you.
hear that?
Yeah.
Bring the ice pack back. So our sponsor, CVS, for all your fine pharmacy needs, go to CVS. They have amazing ice packs. If you want,
Our sponsor, CVS. not a
Yeah.
sponsor.
they didn't give us anything for this.
Put an
but if you
asterisk,
want
not a sponsor.
one
Yeah.
or two
Right.
ice packs, one for each side of your neck.
Mhm.
And then what? Sky Guitars can suck a dick, something like that.
Yeah, Sky Guitars. Let's see. Penis noses. If you want to get penis noses at CVS, I'm sure they have a fine selection.
A
Diff-
Japanese
different
brand, Tansan Sparkling Water. Not a
Yeah,
sponsor,
sparkling.
just a fan of the product.
I think we're getting closer to KFC being a sponsor. Good old
KFC.
Yeah.
Oh, sponsor us, please.
with
Just
their
pay us.
Christmas,
Yes.
Christmas.
Kentucky wa Christmas soup. Eric, you got to go back and listen to the 2 that you missed.
Give me an empty, greasy bucket of KFC. I'll just sniff it. I don't even have to eat the chicken.
Okay.
Just take out your mouth guard first. That's all we ask.
I'll leave the mouth guard in for that one.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
All right,
Thank you, gentlemen. Talk to everybody in a bit.
All right.
Take care.
Take it easy.
It's 2025. Penis noses.